right, boys and girls. It's time for Jerry's Outdoor Show. Heard exclusively right here on AM 860, FM 95.1, KWPC, the voice of Muscatine. Powered by Indian Creek Lure Company, the Sicilian Pizzeria, Mitchell Arms and Ammo, Pierce Custom Rods, Tailwater Marine, Deaf Guy Taxidermy, and RB's Outback Bait and Tackle. Like Jerry's Outdoor Show on Facebook. Jerry, our rods and reels are ready. Let's go fishing.
Well, I was just listening to that intro, and I said, damn, we got a lot of sponsors. we got a lot.
Three.
Yeah, we got a lot of people that throw their lot in with us, and but anyway, hey, you're on Jerry's Outdoors Show, and today don't feel so bad. Yesterday was kind of moist, wasn't it, boys?
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't too hot because you still got your beard on.
It's coming off tonight.
It's coming off tonight.
Yeah.
So anyway,
just a little undershaved. That's all.
Just
right,
little?
Timmy?
Yeah. Just not much at all.
Just a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He sounds like he's back in the cave. Do we need to spin that mic, or is that fine?
Pull that mic in a little bit. Now bend it back towards the middle of the table. No, just the mic itself. Flip it back. Yeah, there you go. All right. That'll work.
Better?
Yeah, that'll work. Well, turn it to the side. Not like that the other way. There you go. Try that.
I'm trying it.
And now, while these guys are going through that, let me read off your lottery.
No, don't change the settings on it. No,
I'm not touching nothing.
No, you should have left it the way. I'll be in there.
All right.
All right.
Tim will be in there, so let me just talk while Tim runs in there and changes the mic. We're a little short on mics out here because we got the Muscatine County Fair going on out there. West Liberty, me and my good friend Tim Scott will be out there tomorrow afternoon saying hi to all the folks, shaking hands, kissing babies, all that good stuff out there that goes on at the fair. Now, before we get going on here, we're going to talk a little bit about last weekend. Me and Mr. Brewer and my wife and his daughter was involved in a fishing tournament out there on the Mississippi River Pool number 16 or River Pool number 17, and Randy fished with my wife and I fished with Randy's daughter. And let me tell you a little something about Randy Brewer Jr. This gal knows her way around the fishing pole. This gal can really fish, and she held her own out there. I mean, she was taking fish off. She was doing everything by herself. A better partner I couldn't ask for. I mean, she even talked about her 9mm guns and everything else. So this gal can... bring home the bacon, shoot it, and fry it up, too. But me and Brandy had a really excellent day. Now, the chief complaint when we got back to the weigh-in that everybody was complaining about was their itty-bitty catfish.
There wasn't no big ones.
There was a few big ones. The biggest...
One or two.
Two
there
of
was
them.
two.
Couple 7-pound.
Out of 44 people fishing.
Right. And, the thing was, it was a best of 5.
Right.
Catfish, and that's the weight. I think we weighed in somewhere like 7-something pounds or whatever. But we brought in a ton of catfish with us. Now, I'm not talking just the 5. So out of
you had a half a basket.
Yeah, we were really on to them, but no big ones. They were all small, and then we got in there. It was like, hey, this is the way it is, and that's the way it. But everybody was complaining the same thing, just small catfish. It turned out to be a good fry.
It was a beautiful day, too,
It was
though.
a beautiful day.
It did not get super hot.
Nope.
The wind, the breeze was nice.
Yep. So me and Randy had a heck of a time, and we were just on them left and right. We'd sit there, we'd put our poles out, and then we'd start talking for a good 20 minutes. Nothing. Then all of a sudden, all 4 poles would go at once.
Boom, boom, boom.
And that was it. Now we move down to the next, try to find the next shelf or the next ledge or the next depression. Same thing, pick up 4, move on. We did that all the way till about 11:30. Now, we did end up, and neither one of us outfished either one. We both stayed constant. We were both pulling in fish at the same time. Now, on the other side of that was my wife and Old Man River.
Here we go. Here we go.
And I'm not really
Lonnie,
sure.
Lonnie, he's slamming me.
I'm not slamming you. How did you guys end up? Because I really didn't hear.
Because we caught our 5. We caught our 5. And I'm going to leave it at that. Because that's all we caught was our 5.
But it was a tough day out there, though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So.
If you hit the holes, the little ones were there, you pick them up.
Right, absolutely.
But as far as who caught what in my boat, that stays in my boat.
Well,
I'm not going to get in trouble on the other side of this.
Absolutely. Well, the thing was, consequently, was I took my wife out fishing last night. Now she's got the Jones for catfishing.
She loves the river now.
So we went out, or it wasn't last night, Wednesday night we went out fishing. She wanted to go out fishing. I said, well, if we're going to do it this week, we got, 1,000 degrees coming and all that. I said, Wednesday night's going to be our best bet to go out. So we went out. We went out to the Pool 16 there on the Mississippi. I'm pretty much done with the cedar, I think, for this year. It's getting too low. I stopped out by
it's coming back up.
It might be, but I'm running into too much sand out there in that, and I don't want to screw up my water pump and all that stuff. And
that's fishing. That's fishing.
Yeah, that if I can avoid it, though, I'll avoid it. But anyway, so we went out Wednesday night, and I parked up above the dam there on Pool 16. I found a 26-foot hole that kind of gradually sloped up to about a 16-foot flat area. So normally when I go fishing, I throw both my rods out, get them set, and then I had to change over the wife's stuff from fishing with Randy on Saturday because those guys were using stink bait. We were using live bait Wednesday night. So I get her one pole, re-rig, toss that one out, and then I'm re-rigging her other pole while the one pole's out there. It's like, bam! I heard it hit, but I'm looking there trying to tie up tackle. The wife screams out from the front of the boat, oh, my God, that took a big hit. So I turned around and I looked at my rod. My rod wasn't moving. And I was it was probably just a dink or something like that. Let me get your stuff finished tied up. So I got her re-rigged and all that, 5 minutes or whatever. Gave her a rod. She casted it out, and I sat there and looked at that rod that took the big hit. And I said, it ain't moving. He must have got the bait. So I pulled back on that thing, and instantly it's like, oh, I'm snagged. Wait a second. Snag's moving towards Illinois. I was like, whoa. I said, get the camera out. I'm going to tell you there's something on the end of this deer. And, I mean, I had my catfish rods are the ugly sticks, and that thing was bent over like a...
Oh, yeah.
It took a little bit to get him up, but, man, that tail come out of the water as a deer. This is a sizable fish on here. And she's snapping pictures the whole way. And then we ended up getting in. It was, I'm going to guess, anywhere from 15 to 18 pounds. And a fish that size takes a little bitty night crawler. And then right afterwards, we ended up picking up a couple 6-pound flatheads. Mrs. Outdoor Show ended up, and she goes, boy, I really like this, going out with somebody and catching some big fish is...
Here he goes again. He goes again.
No, you know what, Randy? She had a heck of a time, and I'm going to tell you what. She knew what the buoys were. She knew what the difference between the green and the red, and she said that came from Old Man River Brewer. That's her name for you. I didn't make that up. But she said she learned a lot from you on that, and I appreciate it. Now I just got to show her the finer points.
There he goes again. He loves to slam it.
I'm not slamming it. So how did you like fishing with my wife? Be careful. She's listening.
Yeah, that's why what was in our boat stays in our boat.
No snakes, no beavers.
No, she couldn't believe that it was that peaceful out there.
Yeah.
Because she's used to the Cedar River where you're getting up into some brush and this and that. Yeah. And you're not. And
she's a little apprehensive about the river system anyway,
right.
Just because she says she suffers from vertigo, which if you're out there on the Cedar River,
she don't know which way direction is.
Right, don't know. But when you're sitting there anchored off, the water's doing this number, and you're looking at the side. It's like driving 80 miles an hour, and then you stop, and you get that. I don't know what that effect is called, where it looks like things are still moving.
Right.
But
yep.
So anyway, but she's getting better at it, and I've tried to get her down to that neck of the woods for a long time, but she's always been apprehensive. She's afraid the water's just moving 1,000 miles. She hears our stuff on the radio.
Horrible stories, horrible.
And any sane person doesn't want to do it.
No way in hell am I going out there.
Absolutely. But
That's a big river.
yeah, she's starting to get over it a little bit. But now our good friend Lonnie Ford, I went out to his. I was out fishing Sunday night. I went out by myself just for a couple hours, and I went out north of your place there, Lonnie, where you have your little fishing dock set up there, your little up on high. And I've talked to my lawyer about it, and we've come to the conclusion that you're an honorable guy and you're going to want to do right by us, because I lost a lot of tackle out there fishing above your place, and what we could deduce was because all that slabs you're dumping in there. Now, the tackle comes up to about $5, which we can settle up for half of that, because some of it was a little used. But the pain and suffering that I got and the lawyer fees. So if you could just write us out a check for $1,500, we'll call it.
I don't normally bring my hip boots out until duck hunting season. I got mine up, Timmy. Well, Jesus.
I told you, I use a 3-way, and what I use on the end of that is a 2-ounce lug nut for weights.
Right.
That are, I can go to the hardware store and buy.
Easy. You go to Outback Bait and Tackle. I'll get you some lug nuts.
There you go.
But anyway, you had a terrific day on Monday, because mowing the grass and my phone rang. It was from Lonnie, and Lonnie said, hey, boy, you better get over here and check this out. So how did you do on Monday, Lonnie?
Well, 15 catfish. We got the limit, or 14 catfish. Got the limit, which is rare. Mm-hmm. Which is really rare for someone to get their legal limit on the Cedar River in one setting. Mm-hmm. From about noon till 6 p.m.
Right.
And the biggest one weighed probably 10, 12 pounds, and then they went down from there down to about 2 pounds. And it was a pretty good mess of fish.
I got a pretty good report from Todd Lincoln this morning that channel cats are still biting out there by the Moscow ramp. So they are biting pretty good out there. But let's put to bed this, because I was an eyewitness to this. Now, when you clean them catfish, what did they have in them?
They still have the eggs in them. Yes, they do.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but the bigger ones.
Right.
Like the biggest ones we had.
Well, and see, flathead are spawning right now, too, so I don't know if them bigger catfish are late.
Yeah.
Like they are or not.
The biggest one that I cleaned was full. Some of the smaller ones had them in it, too, but the biggest one, it was ready to go at any time.
Yeah. Well, just so when guys are out there, when I tell people, I've been getting reports of they still have eggs. No way, there ain't no. I saw them firsthand because Lonnie was there cleaning them. And
well, you got the pictures on your thing, don't you?
Yep.
You can see that big one's belly laying right there.
Right. Yeah. So,
being you're right there by the water, do you? This is a stupid question, maybe, but do you ever take them eggs and throw them back in there? Or no?
They wouldn't reproduce.
Yeah, they wouldn't do a whole lot of good. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Because see, the male, he's got all them rocks. And the male gets up in them rocks and makes the nest, and then the female go back up in there.
Right.
That's true.
Lay the eggs, and then he goes back up in there and fertilizes them.
That's true.
Yeah, the male catfish ain't going to just run around and say, oh, hey, look, there's some eggs.
Right.
I didn't
know. I told you a stupid question.
No, it's not stupid. A lot of people ask questions about that, and that's what it is. And we've talked about it year and year ago. We'll just talk to it now. We got time. That's usually how fish reproduce out in the wild. What it is the male will go in and find a nice spot. When we talked about earlier in the springtime, when me and Randy are out there in Lake Belvedere, those depressions or the elephant tracks, or it looks like craters. Yep. The males come in, they prepare a nest. It's just like anything in the natural order of things. The male is usually the prettiest or tries to put on a show or this or that to attract females. Well, they come by and they check out and inspect their nest. And if the female says, hey, this guy's a winner, this guy's a stud, I'm going to deposit my eggs here. She does his business. He come in and does his business. She takes off like the real male and female world. Leaves the male with all the work. And then, but he'll stay there and guard the eggs and fan his tail over it and this and that. And that's, how the reproduction cycle works in the fish world. So it's not, just there's a pile of eggs.
Well, that's why they like leeches when their spawning works so good, is because the leech will actually, is a predator towards their eggs. He'll actually suck onto the side of a rock, and then he'll stretch himself clear to the back of that female, and as she's even laying the eggs, that leech will be eating them. Mm-hmm. And see, that's why leeches work so good when they're spawning and on the rocks. But it don't work very good if you're out in the river, just on a sandbar or a deep hole.
Mm-hmm. But like salmon, don't they have their eggs are all ready to go, right? I mean, they don't do it like catfish, in other words. They don't have the nest and then the sperm on top
that's
of it.
the salmon. When
their eggs are laid, there's a little fish in there already,
Well, it's just if they're fertilized, they got to be fertilized. It's just like any other egg.
But I think the two salmon mate, ahead of time, and then the female has the eggs.
Not exactly.
We better do our homework on that one, boys.
Yeah. No, I know.
Sick Lonnie on that one.
No, I've caught a lot of salmon. It's basically the same way, but they don't find a nest. Usually, when they talk about the salmon coming swimming back upstream, that's the whole part of the mating process. And what it is the female will come next to the male. He doesn't really make a nest because it's a different kind of water situation up there. And the female will come up alongside the male, and they do a little bit of a dance or whatever you want to call it, and she deposits her eggs and he deposits his fertilizer on them, and then that's how those are fertilized in that situation. So it's not a nesting situation, but there's so many hundreds and thousands of per female,
right?
It's the same thing like when they stock fish. The percentage when they talk about they stock let's say down at Deep Lakes, how they stock 100,000 catfish were stocked, fingerlings or little ones, or were stocked in this lake. The percentage of those surviving are very, very low. Out of 100,000, depending on the species, you might have 3 or 5.
Well, hell yeah,
that
because a lot of them get eaten, right? I mean,
well, they're only 3 inches when they put them in there.
Right, exactly. It's like that, but the survival rate is very, very low. So when they talk about, hey, they're going to drop 100,000 fingerlings into a place, if you 10 surviving is a fantastic number. So anyway, hey, you're on Jerry's Outdoor Show. We got to slide into a commercial break, and we're going to be right back.
I've spent 1,000 miles.
Don't you change that dial. We've got some more great fishing advice coming up. Actual fishing advice may not be helpful. Right here on Jerry's Outdoor Show on KWPC AM 860 and 95.1 FM.
Are you looking for a reliable taxidermist who does superior work? Here's taxidermist Shannon Spooner telling you in sign language why he's the best around. Oh, we forgot to mention, he's deaf. Deaf Guy Taxidermy in Clinton mounts every type of game imaginable, from deer and coyotes, fish and ducks, you name it, he can mount it. Text him, please. Don't call 563-613-4411 or send him an email to deafguytaxidermy@icloud.com. Deaf Guy Taxidermy, proud sponsor of Jerry's Outdoor Show. Listen on KWPC Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Shannon wishes he could. Indian Creek Lure Company is your family-owned tackle shop. They carry the finest in bass fishing products. They carry items not found anywhere else. In fact, if they don't have it, you don't need it. Indian Creek Lure Company specializes in the more specialized tackle. Indian Creek also carries Dobbins and Denali fishing rods, as well as their own line of Indian Creek rods. They can help you spec out a custom rod that's the perfect fit for you, and they cater to bass clubs and tournament anglers. Check out their website, IndianCreekLures.com today.
Mitchell Arms and Ammo has moved. Stop by their new location on Park Avenue inside the old Lincoln School. They are still your locally owned gun shop. Owner Troy Mitchell takes his time to find the right firearm to fit your needs. Visit them online today at mitchellarmsandammo.com and start searching their inventory. Suppressors will be available in July. They offer online pricing and local pickup. No freight or extra fees. Just add tax and pick up at the store in a few days. And warranties are honored locally, too. Call them at 319-212-0239.
Pierce Custom Rods are handcrafted of the finest materials available and designed to provide the most enjoyable fishing experience imaginable. Each rod features a perfect blend of power, action, and detail customized for the user. If you want the utmost in performance, quality, feel, and appearance from your custom rods, choose Pierce Custom Rods. Search Pierce Custom Rods and like them on Facebook or call 563-299-8645.
Listen up! You're going to want to sharpen your pencil and take some notes. It's time for your fishing report, brought to you by MuscatineTVChannel.com, where you can catch the video replay of this broadcast. Not on cable, not on satellite, but always on. It's web TV, MuscatineTVChannel.com.
Big Hollow Lake. Water temperature on Wednesday was down to 80 degrees after heavy rains. One nice side effect of the hard rains is a lot of the duckweed is gone. Bluegills are fair. Anglers are catching some nice-sized bluegills out in deeper water, out around the flooded timber. Channel catfish are good. Get up in the areas where the runoff is coming into the lake, and you'll find some really nice catfish. Corville Reservoir. The lake is at normal summer pool. Channel catfish are fair. Slow trolling and drifting cut bait in the channel has been producing some fish. Diamond Lake. Black crappie are fair. Fish around brush or drift open water for suspended fish. Bluegill are fair. Look for fish around offshore brush piles. Channel catfish are rated as good. Fish around sunrise and sunset with stink bait or chicken livers. Iowa River, up and up. The forecast is for the Iowa to come up a couple another feet by Sunday afternoon. Channel catfish are good. Catfishing continues to be pretty good on a variety of baits. Flathead catfish are good. Bullhead, sunfish, and chubs are producing around snags. Lake Belvedere, bluegill, good. Bluegill fishing remains fairly good if you're fishing the deeper water around the flooded timber. Largemouth bass are rated as good. Bass fishing has been good early in the morning at the upper end of the lake. Work the brush piles and over the top of the mounds. Not very many anglers have been out this week due to the weather. Lake Darling, water temperatures are up in the mid-80s. Bluegill are fair. Work the banks along where the campground arm of the lake attaches to the main body of the lake. Also around the deeper water comes near the jetties and the fishing piers. Lake Geodes, bluegill are fair. Between the hot, humid weather and the rain, the bluegill fishing has slowed down a little bit. Channel catfish are fair. I would try at the upper end of the lake where the runoff is coming down from Cedar Creek. Water temperatures have cooled down a little bit by the rain, but I doubt that will last with the forecasted high temperatures the next few days. Lake McBride, walleye are fair. Troll crankbaits or spinner rigs around 8 to 12 foot of water. Black crappie are slow. A few fish are being caught fishing twisters slowly. Channel catfish are fair. Try stink bait or crawlers, especially towards sunset. East of the causeway has been good. Wipers are fair. These have been on and off lately. Look for surface activity around sunset around schools of shad. Lake Odessa, because of the rise in water levels out in the Mississippi River, the inlet and outlet gates have been closed again at Odessa to prevent its water level from coming back up. And just when fishing up at the inlet was starting to get good earlier this week. Lake Saguma, black crappie are fair. Use jig and pig minnow combinations. Largemouth bass are rated as fair. Try topwater lures. Walleye are slow. Fishing is slowed with some of the hotter weather. Try drifting night crawlers and minnows along the dam or rip-rap shoreline. Mississippi Pool 16. Mississippi River Pool number 16 through 19. River stages have been on the rise with the recent heavy rains and forecasted to continue to rise through the weekend. Water clarity is fair to poor. Main channel water temperature is around 80 degrees. We have not received many fishing reports with the rising water conditions and hotter weather. Remember to clean, dry, and drain your boat before going to another body of water. Tailwater stage at Lock and Dam 15 in the Quad Cities is 9.16 feet. Tailwater stage has risen the past few days and is forecasted to continue to rise throughout the weekend with the recent rains. Tailwater stage is forecasted to reach 11.1 feet by the middle of the week. Flood stage is 15 feet. Channel catfish have been fair. Channel catfish are being caught on stink baits. Try fishing above log jams and snags in the side channels. Channel catfish are fair. Channel catfish are being caught on stink baits. Try fishing above log jams and snags in the side channels. Bluegill are fair. Some bluegills are being caught in the backwater. Look for bluegills around brush piles and logs. Try fishing with pieces of worm under a bobber. White bass are slow. White bass fishing below the dam and in Sylvan Slough has been hit or miss. Mississippi River Pool number 17. Tailwater stage at Locking Dam 16 in Muscatine is 7.4 feet and rising. River stage is forecasted to reach 10.2 feet by the middle of the week. Flood stage is 15 feet. We did not receive any fishing reports on this pool for this week.
That's your fishing report for the week. Get out there and enjoy the great outdoors that Iowa has to offer.
And now back to more Jerry's Outdoor Show. If you've missed part of this episode or any other episode, what were you thinking? Give Jerry's Outdoor Show a like on Facebook. Listen to past episodes on iTunes, Podbean, and jerry'sOutdoorshow.com.
All right, we are back, and me and Tim were just kind of talking over there in the fishing report, and he said, "How can there be 7 foot of water?"
No, I realize that. I mean, I ran a boat on the river for years, but 7 feet of water, that's pretty low for this pool. But, Randy, don't you think they keep this pool low? I mean, compared to the pool up above, that always seems like it's got a lot of water in it versus our pool.
Well, and see, the further up you go, the more water you got.
Yeah.
But, like, we're going to get, I heard 10 to 11 foot is
what
we're supposed to get coming now.
Right.
I see.
And that's the water level, not how deep it is.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I understand
what they
that.
call river. Yeah.
Right. So the question goes back, and just like we just said earlier in the show, I was fishing in a 26-foot hole.
Right.
Even though it says the river's 9 foot.
Right.
I'm in a 26. Most of the channel.
Well, I'll tell you, and because I talked to the radar guys that zone the rivers. And they like to keep it up there by the dam right around 35 foot. Mm-hmm. So anything, and I mean, if it washes out, they'll put more in. Mm-hmm. Because that's what keeps the system there is all that. And then you can go downriver in between the pools and then find a 60-foot hole. Because the water washes it.
Right.
See.
Back there by that Amazon chute, on the opposite side of that Amazon chute, you know, that big swirly hole back there? That's a deep hole.
Yeah, it is.
You know.
Yeah. And I flathead up around that.
Yeah, that's a good flathead spot.
Yeah,
there.
we called it Hobo Chute for a while.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Hobo Chute.
Well,
there was a cabin that ended up on the end of that at one time.
Oh, yeah?
During one of the floods. And it just looked like a hobo built a cabin up on top of a pile.
Maybe it was a shanty.
Shanty, yeah.
I was going to say maybe Boo Boo. Isn't that what she nicknamed him? Boo Boo?
Boo Boo? No, his wife
to the
did.
Hobo Chute.
Yeah, Boo Boo to the hobo.
You guys got to get up a lot earlier if you're going to get me.
Hey, by the way, speaking of big fish, I had a couple buddies. They got a fish they want to get mounted, and I knew if I told them, because dyslexic and that, it'd be all backwards. WW cop dot deet dot. I'm not a computer nut anyway.
Would you look that up for me? I'm sure that's a site.
That's got to be a site.
Right.
But I told them, we got a real good one, and it's the deaf
guy taxidermy, Shannon Spooner. If you go to Jerry's Outdoor Show on Facebook there, or you can look him up on Facebook, but his name is Shannon Spooner, and it's Deaf Guy Taxidermy. The thing with Shannon is, as the name implies, he is totally stone deaf. He cannot hear a word, so you can't call him. You have to text him. And let me see, I will pull up his number right here and give you his number. And the guy has won multiple awards.
Super good.
Super nice guy. And he will meet a lot of guys halfway.
And this is all he does. He's not a weekend warrior.
Nope. This guy's won every contest he's been in. He's won a reward. Anyway, if you guys are listening out there, his name is Shannon Spooner, and his number is 563-613-4411. And that's Deaf Guy Taxidermy. He's up in Clinton. Like I said, a lot of times he'll meet guys halfway. If they don't want to drive all the way up to Clinton, hey, meet me in Davenport or meet me in Eldridge or whatever. He's a super nice guy, does a fantastic job. He's deafguytaxidermy.com, or go to Jerry's Outdoor Show Facebook page, and we'll get you connected on that. More than happy to kick that out for you. Or anything else you want to know about my sponsors, just give me a holler, and I'm happy to help you out.
It helps to call in, because I said I'd get this off right at the beginning of the show, so they didn't have to listen to the whole thing.
Well, I knew you said that. That's why I wanted to keep
halfway.
them. I want to keep them, riveted on the edge of their seat. But hey, what we're going to talk about right now is catfish season is upon us, and everybody's getting on there. And in cooperation with the voiceofmuscatine.com, my next 4 articles coming out is going to be dedicated all to catfish rigs. Now, when we talk about rigs, we're not talking about 18-wheelers running down the road. What we're talking about when we say a rig, we're using a catfish rig. What that is basically different types of terminal tackle, sinkers, bobbers, spinners, or
lug nuts,
swivels, leaders, hooks. And it's all in the way that you put it on your line. And now, the first one I want to talk about, and I use this one quite a bit, but it's called a Carolina rig, or it's called a sliding sinker rig, or a slip sinker rig, depending on what side of the fence you're standing on. It can be called different things, but the proper term for it is called Carolina rig. Now, I did some research on this. The Carolina rig did come out of Carolina, but nobody can agree if it was North Carolina or South Carolina that made this up. What it was back in the 40s, it actually comes from bass fishermen. Before, the advent of having sonars or depth finders or modern electronics to tell you what the bottom looked like, or if there was cover down below, if it was weeds, if there was a stump pile and this and that, they figured out a way that they could do it quickly, and that was what was called Carolina rig. Carolina rig was nothing more than an egg sinker and a swivel with a leader and a hook. That way they could throw it out there, they could pull it around quickly. There's a stump pile there. Oh, there's sand, there's mud, there's whatever. Bass fishermen use that, and they would hook plastic worms. Now, your 1940s plastic worms had a lot to be desired compared to today's new worms that are out there. So they figured out while they were doing that, they could get a lot of these bigger bass off the bottom by attaching a plastic worm to that rig, so they knew the contours and the structure below. Sometimes them bass would hit them worms that looked livelier coming through their net. So anyway, that's what a a Carolina rig is. Now, cat fishermen adopted it because it worked pretty well, because a lot of cat fishermen like fishing on the bottom. Now, when I say a Carolina rig or a slip or a sinker rig or a sliding sinker rig, what it is, if you can imagine, I know this is hard on radio because I could have all sorts of diagrams up here. But basically, you're holding the line in your hand, and the top part of your line closest to your reel is you're going to have either an egg weight or you're going to have a no-roll weight. I prefer the no-rolls compared to the eggs. And what this is, it's a good chunk of lead with a hole all the way through it. And you put that on your line first, and that's going to slide. You want that to slide. You don't want to try to stop that anyway right now, what I'm trying to tell you. And then your next part of that is going to be a glass bead. Now, a lot of guys don't use a glass bead. Some guys do. What the glass bead does is it helps protect your knot on the next part of your rig here, which is going to be a swivel, be it a barrel swivel or a clasp swivel. What it is, once you attach that, then that gives a stopping point for that weight when it slides down there to the top of that swivel. You're going to hit that knot. The glass bead acts kind of like a buffer in between the weight and the knot, so it's not getting frayed and you might lose something, something very big. All right? Then after your swivel is usually a leader of some sorts. It can be a wire, it can be, monofilament, it can be braided line, whatever you want to make. I make my own leaders. I make my leaders out of copolymer, which is really a tough line. And I can go anywhere. I can go from 6 inches to 36 inches if I want. for a leader. I tie into that, and then I tie a hook to the other end, and then I put it onto my swivel, and that's the Carolina rig. And what that basically is going to do is you're going to put your bait out there, and you're going to toss your rig out there, and your rig's going to sit on the bottom. Now, why it's important for the line to slide is because it doesn't give away the weight. Because a lot of times you're using a 2-ounce, a 3-ounce, a pretty big weight when you're out in these currents. Catfish will feel that weight if they're pulling on it. See, when they're pulling on it, that line's slipping through that weight, and they're not feeling it, and they're more likely to bite. And also, depending on what kind of bait you're using, depending on the length of your leader, that's going to tend to want to float up off the bottom just a little bit. Whether you're using a night crawler, a minnow, cut bait, a worm, depending on the current, and I find that's predominantly the rig I use. What do you guys normally use?
Perfect example, except for instead of that bead, I use a piece of wood that's about the size of a pencil, and you can take your line and fold it, take your finger and make a loop, slide it in there and pull it tight. Then, when it's laying on the bottom and it's wanting to be free to go, that piece of wood is actually trying to float.
Right.
So then it makes sure that my hole's open to know when he's biting, and it will also let your worm float a little further up, because all you got to do is back off the line a little bit, and it'll float with the current.
Now, do you find that you use that rig too a lot, Lonnie?
He ain't got no sticks.
Well, I tell you the difference. What I see in this, Jerry, is that I use the slip rig for a while, and if you're fishing from a boat where you're parallel with your rock and your current flow, those slip bobbers work, or slip sinkers work fairly well. Right. Now, from when you're sitting on the bank, which a lot of catfishermen do, and you're sitting perpendicular to your current and your snags. Yep. It's very easily to snag, so that's why I go with my 3-way rig. It's a 3-way swivel. I use 8-pound test, and I use about 2-foot drop, and I put a 2-ounce lug net on the end of that.
I was waiting for that.
Then I cast that out, which perpendicular to the current, it's going to snag. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
If you're in heavy snag area, where the catfish can be, especially on hot sunshine days. Right. Then it's just a matter of running a rubber worm if you're running the bait, or a worm off the other 3-way, or off the third end. Right. And when you hook that catfish, first thing you're going to lose is that 8-pound test. I'm running a 20-pound test on everything else. That 8-pound lug nut, you're going to lose that right off the bat. Right. And you're going to lose it 9 out of 10 times when you just cast out to recast back in.
Well, the other thing, too, with a bank, using this rig, like you're saying, like in a bank situation compared to a boat situation.
Using that 3-way.
Well, no, we're going to specifically stay on the Carolina rig because that's what we're talking about. We'll get to the 3-way rig next week. But anyway, with using that, like you're saying there, if you try to use a Carolina rig in a 3-way where you're talking at, if you're throwing it too perpendicular to you, what happens is your weight is going to hit and your line is going to end up floating down a ways from it if you're not setting it right, if you're not setting yourself up. So what a lot of times is your line's going to be just rolling around there, getting wrapped up around a tree or a rock, and you won't even know if you ever had a bite. But the 3-way is ideal for that situation. Not saying it's going to eliminate all your snags, but it does help out a bit. But anyway, back to the Carolina rig. What also is good is a lot of guys use it for dip worms. Use it the same way. If you're losing a lot of dip worms because you got that itty bitty treble hook and the rubber worm, and we had that on Saturday. A lot of those,
whoever was cleaning fish ended up with a lot of lures.
Well, that was expressly why the Carolina rig works good in this situation, because those little bitty treble hooks, a lot of those were inhaling them, I mean, way down in their gut. Right. So that way you can just unsnap or cut off the line, whatever, leave the hook in the fish goes in the basket, and now you can quickly change out to another rubber worm without having to redo your line all the way up. Now, a variation of this one, and we will get to it because I see we have to do a commercial break, and we'll be right back. We'll talk about the variations when we come back on Jerry's Outdoor Show. Hey, you're listening to Jerry's Outdoor Show on KWPC 860 AM and 95.1 FM.
Well, what the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
Pierce custom rods are handcrafted of the finest materials available and designed to provide the most enjoyable fishing experience imaginable. Each rod features a perfect blend of power, action, and detail customized for the user. If you want the utmost in performance, quality, feel, and appearance from your custom rods, choose Pierce Custom Rods. Search Pierce Custom Rods and like them on Facebook or call 563-299-8645.
The place where he was born and raised.
Sounds like a place to fish or baiting down at the bottoms. This is Randy Brewer from the Outback Bait and Tackle Shop. When you're ready to go fishing, to hit the river and local fishing holes, come and see me. I've been fishing our local areas for over 40 years. I'll be able to set you up with the right bait and tackle for our fishing holes in the area. I'll even throw in some of my experienced fishing advice. So before you head out to your fishing hole, come see me at the RB's Outback Bait and Tackle, located 16114 County Road X61 here in Muscatine. Call me at 563-506-0490. Sign says 9 to 5. Call anytime after. We'll get your bait.
Is your boat not starting well or running to its fullest potential? Have Nigel at Tailwater Marine take a look and have it running tip-top again. Conveniently located on Mississippi Drive, just south of downtown Muscatine, Tailwater Marine has years of experience and the skills to keep you worry-free on the water. Tailwater also carries towables, water toys, and accessories for your fun and safety on the water. Call Tailwater Marine, 563-264-BOAT. That's 563-264-2628.
That's a spicy meatball.
The Sicilian Pizzeria in Wilton is now serving domestic and import beer plus wine that complement all the great dishes prepared by owner and our friend Gary Brown. The Sicilian brings you the taste of New York Sicilian-style pizza plus Chicago favorites like Italian beef, meatball, and many more delicious authentic sandwiches. Really hungry? Order a Chicago-style stuffed pizza. Mouth-watering good. It's the Sicilian Pizzeria, 912 West 5th Street in Wilton. Call and place your order with Gary today at 563-732-9396. Satisfy your taste buds with the Sicilian.
And now back to more Jerry's Outdoor Show. If you've missed part of this episode or any other episode, what were you thinking? Give Jerry's Outdoor Show a like on Facebook. Listen to past episodes on iTunes, Podbean, and jerry'souttdoorshow.com.
That's right. We are back, and I'm here with my good buddy Tim Scott, and you and me be out at the county fair tomorrow, won't we, buddy boy?
Yep.
What time do I got to be up and around for that thing?
I don't know. I'll have to look and we'll figure it out. I think 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock?
Yeah.
Right.
Is that too early for you?
No,
or?
that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
I know Randy gets up at like 4 o'clock.
Early.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually up by 3:30. Go to the bathroom, go back to bed.
Well, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
You know. But, so, yeah, we'll be out there. We'll be out underneath the grandstand. Stop on by, say hi, and then you can stop by. Well, this is what happened last year when I was out there with Tim, you know. We had so many women stopping by. Is that Tim Scott?
No, now tell the truth. They was wanting to stop by and talk to you.
About Tim Scott. Like,
no, about
he is
you.
Better looking than I thought.
I'm telling you, you're some kind of somebody out there. You know,
he's pulling your chain. Just
no,
like catfish
Randy,
he's
another catfish story.
He's something else out there.
Is he?
Oh,
I'm gonna have to sneak out there and take a check.
All the girls come out to see him. I'll tell you.
Well, I'm not interested in that.
I think
I got that Bobby girl, and you know she don't get mean for a reason.
They all shoot pistols down there.
Yeah, down home.
Those gals can turn you from a rooster to a hen in one shot. You don't think they can't?
Yeah,
absolutely.
We had an incident with a snake down there. He's eating my pigeon eggs, and my wife looked out and she says, "Is that snake look like a rattlesnake kind of?" And I says, "Yeah, it don't have stripes on it." She said, "It's right outside the door." So I said, "Well, go ahead and shoot it." So she got her gun out that I got her for Christmas a couple years ago, and it's a 9-inch Ruger with a 20 mag in it. And so she shoots it twice right up close by the head, not the head, but pretty much cut it in half. Well, my daughter come down.
I know this story.
And she seen the back half was still moving, and she don't know snakes. They will go around until night comes before they just go ahead and die. So she gets her, I think it's a 45 out, and my wife told her, she said, you might want to move your car. She said, no, Mom, it'll be all right. So she shot that snake in half lower down towards the belly, and that bullet ricocheted and went right through the fender of her car. She brand new car. 45 shot right through the fender.
Wow.
She should have listened to her mom.
But then you got 2 brewer women with pistols. You don't want to get involved in the middle of that.
I stay out of it.
Yep.
Because all 3 of my girls and my wife carry.
Yep. So don't be doing, any of you guys out there, don't be doing brewer girls wrong.
Be nice to them.
They're going to fix you right quick. But anyway, we were talking about catfish rigs before we went to break there, and now we were talking about the Carolina rig this week, and there's a variation to that, which like Randy was saying with what he does with the stick and it'll float up. There's actually a variation to this that we explained, and you can do these any number of ways. You know, you can put 2 beads, no beads, whatever. I'm just trying to pass it on the simplest way that I can with the lack of visual aids here in the studio. But like Randy was saying earlier, why he uses a stick, it does one thing, it'll stop the weight, and it will actually let it float up a little bit. Well, the variation between this rig, there's another rig called the Santee Cooper rig, which is basically like the same way as the North Carolina rig, but between the hook, and you're using a fairly long leader on this, but between the hook and the swivel, you actually are going to put in one of these straight line foam bobbers. Have you ever seen these?
Yep.
These are basically, you put that on your line, you just kind of got a couple little pegs there and you peg it on like that. What that does is actually it's going to allow your bait to float up at a little bit of an angle. Now, it was brought around
but I'm like Lonnie. I got to go the cheap way. If I can't find a stick, I'll use a cigarette butt.
But Lonnie don't smoke. But anyway, that's a variation that you can do with the Carolina rig. Now, it don't work so great in a lot of heavy current with that float on there. But in a lake or still water situation, it will get that bait up out of the gunk.
Get it up off the ground,
Get it up out of the gunk and the mud and stuff like that, and make it more visible for the catfish to come up and hit. Like I said, you can research any of these ways. A lot of people call them different, this and that. I'm just telling you from what I've always called them to what they are. And maybe this will help you out a little bit, because I know I get a lot of calls, especially when I post pictures onto Facebook. With whatever I'm catching. Oh, my God, where did you get that? Well, I use this. Well, what's that? So then I got to go into a big dissertation of that. Even though you guys have fished for years and years and years, what I call it may not be what you call it, so I'm just trying to explain it out there and maybe help you guys out there a little more that are struggling more than others. But like we always say on this show, the only way to get any better at it, folks, is you got to spend the time out there on the water.
And if I may say, Jerry, the Carolina rig, I've used that style.
Right.
And the most luck that I've had with it is when I'm fishing from sandbars where there's no snags.
Right.
And mud flats. And those work. Otherwise, if I'm in heavy current, like where I'm normally at, I use the other system.
Right. And we'll get to the 3-way rigs and the other rig. I'm going to finish, like I said, with the articles I got coming out in Voice of Muscatine. And there'll be a lot more detail in the articles than that. But we're going to try to cover that because we're predominantly catfish around here. That's the most questions I get about. And so hopefully this will help demystify some of it. And like I said, you don't have to do it 100% like I do it. There's tons of variations to these. The only thing that I would say, if you choose to try to use a Carolina rig or a slip sliding rig, don't go cheap on your swivels. Your swivels is going to be the weakest link in your chain. Maybe if what the swivel there is to allow that bait not to roll around and spin around. You can use the barrel swivels, you can use the clasp swivels, but remember, that is going to be the weakest link in your chain there. So make sure you're getting.
And it has
swivels.
nothing to do with ruining your setup because it's far enough away from your line that if you want to use a bigger one, use a bigger one.
Right.
Randy, you got them swivels, don't you, down there?
Yeah, there's many kind of them, and kind of like what Jerry's saying is, you get the ones that just clip inside that brass piece, and you get them too small, that wire will actually slide out from where it hooks.
Correct.
Now they do make, and they're usually black, to where the wire bends around, Timmy, and it actually hooks back on the wire that the whole thing's made out of.
Right.
They cannot pull them off.
Right.
Even if you do get one just a little smaller than what you need, you'll see damage on it. That means go to a bigger one.
Right. Correct. And if you're fishing someplace with a lot of rocks or something like that, and you're not getting snagged up, but you're going to be beating that swivel up against some rocks, it can't open. The only difference between the clasp and like the barrel style where you have to tie off is that the clasps are nice if you're, like we said, in a situation where you're losing a lot of worms.
Right.
You're losing a lot of dip worms. Well, you're not having to re-rig everything. And if you do bust off the leader or bust off, you got at least one knot there that's going to hold your weight on there, and you're not losing a 2-ounce, because those 2-ounce and 3-ounce leads get kind of expensive. And once you start losing all
lug nuts.
Or lug nuts. AutoZone's got tons of them. Another thing, like I said, I make my own leaders. They're not that hard to make. But you can buy like the Eagle Claw. They already have them made up. I prefer like a size 1 or a 2 bait holder hook works for me. You can go up to the 1/0, 2/0. That's what I use. I'm not too big on the circle hooks. I've used them. They're not bad, but I haven't found that they're really any more beneficial for the money that I pay for them compared to the straight up Eagle Claw.
Well, they're basically made for somebody that really ain't key on that pole doinking when they're taking the other. They're actually designed to let the fish hook himself.
Right.
So when he bites it up, he runs with it. It slides to the side of his mouth, and there's actually a nerve up inside their jaw that it gets close to, and it slows it down from fighting so much. But I've never seen it really work that good that it impressed me.
Right. I mean, I've caught fish with it, and you're right. And that's the whole principle behind it, is that it's a, you don't have to worry about setting the hook.
Right.
The fish are
and that's why the flathead guys like them a lot.
Right. But with that, I haven't seen any, so I'm just gonna, not that I'm gonna change or anything, but I got a lot of 2/0 and 1/0 hooks. So, and I prefer the bait holders. I prefer the bait holder style hook. What a bait holder hook is, it basically, it looks like a normal hook, except it's got these two little spikes that are on the main shank. So if you're using like a night crawler situation, when you thread that night crawler up there, it's going to help hold that crawler on there in a heavy current situation, so it isn't, you ever pull your worm up and there he's just hanging on by the last little nub there. It's like, oh, no.
Well, it looks like a little spring at the top of your hook is what it looks like. Right? That you can screw it up on?
No, the bait.
We're talking 2 different hooks.
Those are 2 different. No, the bait holder is basically just got 2 little barbs that are sticking up towards the eye that come off on the back of the. It's just a regular old standard shanked hook, but it's got 2 little barbs on there that once you thread that bait on there, it's hard to tug that bait off of it. And that's what's been working for me. I haven't been using a lot of exotic baits. I've been using night crawlers. And that was the thing when I started posting. People, oh man, we're using chubs, we're using something. I was using night crawlers, dude. Yeah. So why an 18-pound fish would take that itty bitty worm?
You always, and it's a live worm too, because they really don't like dead stuff. The flathead don't. But I got lost where I was at on that.
He'll come back around to it.
Well, both of you
That's
guys
your
run
old timer's
bait shops.
disease.
I use stink bait, cut bait, but by far isn't night crawlers your largest selling item?
Well, that's what I started to say. Is anytime you go fishing, you always want to grab some dew worms because you never know. That might be the only thing. It's the oldest thing we've ever used.
Yeah.
You know.
But Randy's saying that from a business point of view. You always want to grab a thing of night crawlers and a $35 rod. Every time you
9
go
times
out.
out of 10, my customers, unless they're just crappie fishermen, they will grab a thing of dew worms. And the crappie fishermen, if they can't catch no crappies, they buy them big reds, they call them, or wiggle worms, but they're bigger than a red worm.
Right.
And they'll take them with them to catch bluegill.
Yeah.
So, 9 times out of 10, they take a worm of some kind.
You're going to do whatever Grandpa taught you to do, and you're going to stick to it. And it's
Better
hard
stick to it, boy.
Right, exactly.
Or you ain't going to get no fish for supper.
Absolutely. You know, and that's the thing, is how you learned, if you're willing to learn new stuff, and that's what we're trying to pass along. Another thing I'm trying to pass along here, too, is I'm getting, with all these pictures that I put on Facebook anymore, I'm getting so many requests to take me fishing. I want to go fishing with you. I go fishing out, probably I'm going to say pretty close to 4 times a week. If you want to go, just send me a message. I'm more than happy to take you out. Usually go out for 3 or 4 hours. That's about it. If you want, as long as you got a license and you're legal, I'll take you out. We'll have a time of it. Get back to your stink bait thing. Being that my wife is really kind of new at fishing, I'm not too much into the stink bait fishing because it tends to go everywhere.
I think he seen my boat after we was done with that tournament. There was stink bait everywhere.
So pretty much I like to use the live bait with her.
She'll get better. She'll get better.
She's getting there. She's getting there. And I'm going to say, Randy, you did an exceptional job today, because my wife was sitting there with 563-263-860 on her phone. She says, the minute he says something that isn't true, I'm calling in.
I have no reason to lie to nobody.
Absolutely not. So what's the weekend look like for you boys?
With the river coming up, I think I'm going to bait up the flathead lines. They're out, but they're stripped down of their hardware. Mm-hmm. But with the river on the rise, we might as well take advantage of the big fish.
Well, I know the cedar's coming up fast and hard.
Yep.
And so I'm not...
And that might be a little too fast.
And that's where I was going next, is that it might be just a little too rapid out there to try to...
Right.
To catch anything at that rate.
And the cedar seems like when it does do that, it just gets so damn dirty.
It is, and it's dirty now.
I mean, when you pull up, if you're using a Carolina rig and you pull it up, hell, you got a hay bale on the end of it, and I wonder where all that hay is coming from. That's a problem for the DNR.
Yeah.
But other than that, this is Jerry's Outdoor Show for my good friend Lonnie Ford, my good friend Randy Brewer, and my good friend Tim Scott. We're going to cruise out of here. I know Tim's got to get going. You're going to be out at the fair today, aren't you, Timmy?
Yep.
So he's got to get our booth all set
up. That was a pretty slow, yep.
You try to get out there in that 100 and some degree, and you'd be going,
no.
Too.
Well, he's going to go out there and get our little plastic tent put up and the air conditioner I brought in, so we'll be okay.
Jerry requires certain things.
AC.
Yeah, there's
so much. You got what's called a rider, and is it air conditioning?
He wants somebody to ride him to and from the car.
This kind of candy, this and that. Baby pool full of ice to put his feet in. I mean, yeah.
He's a lot high maintenance.
Yeah.
Well, the velvet rope goes up at 10, so get in line, them folks.
Red carpet. All
Boo Boo was kind of spoiled then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Boo-boo.
I thought it was gummy bear or something like that.
I really
searching,
couldn't remember.
Boys.
I was hoping somebody.
That's right. Keep searching, boys.
All I got to do is call the missus.
Yeah. That's all right. Hey, we're going to slide out of here. And it's Juju Bear.
Juju Bear.
Juju Bear says goodbye. We'll see you all next week, folks.
Thank you, folks.
Jerry's Outdoor Show. Special thanks to Indian Creek Lure Company, the Sicilian Pizzeria Wilton, Mitchell Arms and Ammo, Pierce Custom Rods, Tailwater Marine, Deaf Guy Taxidermy, and RB's Outback Bait and Tackle. Tune in every Friday morning at 10 a.m. right here on AM 860, FM 95.1, KWPC, the voice of Muscatine.
Well, I love her, but I love to fish. I spend all day out on this lake, and hell is all I can.
are so glad you came. Bye-bye. 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 Bye. Bye-bye. Remember, please discard all candy wrappers and popcorn containers in the nearest trash receptacle.